What's up, everybody? Back again. In this video, I want to talk about Alex Lifeson's new band. I use the term band loosely because this, to me, feels like a project in every sense of the word. This feels like a group that was born solely out of Pro Tools. It does not come off to me as a group of people that were standing around in the same room writing songs together. Of course, I'm talking about the band Envy of None. This band has been around all of 1 year. I believe it's been about a year since they released their first single, Liar. And I didn't actually hear about this band, surprisingly, because, bands that are on this level, they don't typically do the best promotion because they don't have a huge record label behind them pushing them. Heard about from the Eddie Trunk podcast, and so I was like, what? Alex Lifeson's doing a new thing? I gotta check it out. So this band, Envy of None, consists of bassist Andy Curran, guitarist and keyboardist Alfio Anna Bellini, vocalist Maya Wynn, and the big celebrity co-sign guitarist Alex Lifeson, formerly of Rush. And to comment on the clickbaity thumbnail, in short, no, this project sounds nothing like Rush whatsoever, and apparently Alex Lifeson is completely happy about that. He says here, quote, Lifeson himself is proudly aware of how little of this band, crosses over with the band that made him famous. All right, I guess that's something that you would want if you are an artist and you're trying to evolve to the next level of your career. You don't want to be like, yeah, all I can do is make riffs that sound like Rush, so fine, I guess. But it does beg the question, though, a little bit that knowing how much the fans were still hungry for more Rush material, why didn't Geddy Lee have any involvement in this project? Now, granted, from my understanding, Andy Curran was the founder of this band, so he was the bassist, so they didn't need a bassist apparently. And honestly, after hearing this music, I don't know if Geddy would or wouldn't be interested in doing music of this genre. But Geddy and Alex kind of got the short end of the stick when it came to when they were able to say when they were done with music. Their hand was kind of forced when their bandmate and brother in music and friendship, Neil Peart, died of brain cancer a few years ago, and they were pretty much forced to dissolve Rush, the thing that all of them had known ever since they were teenagers. So it was sad because anytime you heard Geddy or Alex after the band was forced to break up, you just heard the fact that neither one of them wanted it to quit. Neither one of them wanted it to end. I mean, Geddy even said as much in their last kind of documentary, Time Stands Still, which is a very heartening documentary. I highly recommend it. Kind of flew under the radar for me. I didn't even know the thing was out for years after it came out until I finally watched it, and I was like, wow, how did this fly under my radar? So I always thought, and I think the fans always thought, that Geddy and Alex would reunite with a different lineup and they would continue to make music together. And that has not been the case so far, and it's not the case with Envy of None. It's a band that Alex is doing, and Geddy has no involvement, which, whatever. I mean, it would be cool if they put out something. It'd be interesting, even though I don't think Geddy can really sing for shit these days. Lower register, Geddy. Stick to the lower register. Think 80s Rush, and just write songs in that register. Don't try to be high singer anymore. You can't do it. It doesn't sound good. But anyway, getting back to this band, it's definitely nothing that we haven't heard before. The sound to me is like trip-hop, late 90s, early 2000s electronica. Think Boards of Canada, the Sneaker Pimps, Massive Attack, 07, kind of groups like that with, this slick kind of electronic production. With a sultry, haunting female vocalists, like a Portishead, kind of thing. So yeah, it's definitely something that has already been done almost 25 years ago. God, I can't believe how rapidly time is flying by. But yes, that's why I love trip hop so much, is because it was so ahead of its time. When it came out, it still doesn't age. You can put on any trip hop record, any of the bands I just named, and it will not sound like a product of the 90s. It will sound like just something that lives in its own space. So that's cool, but I mean, again, you hear the buzz of Alex Lifeson's new band, and your expectations are automatically going to be really high, and then you hear this, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just nothing new. It's nothing that hasn't already been done. They even dropped the name Massive Attack and Nine Inch Nails as comparisons in their bio on Spotify, but Nine Inch Nails was a stretch of a comparison because this music is fairly toothless compared to an industrial juggernaut such as Nine Inch Nails. And also, let me just point out the irony here that for someone who hates keyboards as much as Alex Lifeson said he did, as much as Alex Lifeson supposedly put the kibosh on Geddy Lee's over-enthusiasm with the synthesizers on all their 1980s records, for someone who was so outspoken against stop with all the fucking keyboards, no fucking keyboards, more guitar. For someone who's made all those statements back in the day, man, this album sure is laden with electronic effects, sounds, soundscapes, pads, synth bass lines, and the guitar is seemingly only used as some kind of atmospheric texture. There's no real standout riff per se. There's not really a Envy of None guitar cover that I don't think you're going to be seeing that online anytime soon, because there's nothing really there that stands out guitar wise that you could point out and be like, yeah, that's Alex right there. It almost makes you wonder what were Alex's contributions on this record aside from his celebrity cosign of, hey, the guy formerly in Rush is doing a new thing now, that alone is worth more weight than any talent that anyone else in the band has, because as we've seen time and time again, you can have all the talent in the world and no one's going to give a shit if you're not, dead or famous. So, taking a little look-see into the songs here. The first song in the album, funny enough, kind of opens up like Abacab off of the album Abacab by Genesis. Just thought that was kind of a funny little comparison there. The song Look Inside kind of stood out to me in a bad way, because it's got there's drums and kind of guitar more so on this track than the other tracks, and it comes in with this it's got this sequenced synth arpeggio thing, but then this War Pigs halftime down tempo groove comes in with the drums and the guitar, and it is totally clashing with the synth electronic arpeggio, and it just kind of shows the amateurness of whoever created and tried to stack these two components on top of each other. For that song in particular, it was very obvious. For all the other songs, it was fine, but that just really stood out to me as wow, those two things just do not sound good. Objectively, they do not sound good. Layered on top of each other, and anyone who was experienced in making electronic music would have heard that fusion and been yeah, let's change something about this, because this currently isn't working together. It's clashing. After listening to the album for a while, the songs just kind of start blending together, but not in a bad way, but just in a samey way. You kind of if you put the record on and you just start doing other stuff just household chores or whatever, you kind of forget that you're on a different song than you were 20 minutes ago, and that can be good sometimes, but a lot of times it can be bad. It means that all the stuff sounds the same, and there's nothing to break you out of the kind of listening cycle to pay attention and be like, oh, I need to pay attention to this because this is interesting. This caught my attention. Yeah, there's not really anything like that on this. And again, Alex's contributions are just more like sonic atmospheres than any direct playing, except the last song, Western Sunset, which is dedicated to late friend and drummer Neil Peart, and it's just an instrumental, which was kind of disappointing. There was no lyrics of any kind. There's no part of Alex Lifeson's DNA that can be found within this record, and again, it makes me wonder what he actually contributed outside of lending his celebrity name and credibility. And I gotta say, these kind of side projects, which is, I guess it's not a side project because Alex doesn't have a main project anymore, but these kind of like late career celebrity things, they never really pan out ever. I can think of so many like little side things that were done, and they'll do like a record or two. There was the one with Geezer Butler that comes to mind, and I think like Queens of the Stone Age, Josh Homme was like the singer, and they were called the Dead Buzzards or something, I forget. But there's a lot of bands like this where like one of the guys or two of the guys are like really popular from these other bands, and then they get together. Like what Flea and Tom York did a record together. There's, like I said, there's so many examples throughout like music history of either supergroups or side bands or side projects. And if it's not the thing that people are nostalgic for or used to, I mean, it's got to be pretty kick-ass for it to ever have a chance. Winery Dogs come to mind. Sammy Hagar, The Circle, is that the name? And there's literally hundreds of these side projects that start. They do one record, they might do two records, they do a few shows, might do a tour or two. But the whole fun of doing these kind of bands is that it's not that serious. Whoever the celebrity is in the band, they already have made their money, they're already set. So that they don't really have the skin in the game that maybe the other members who are lesser known or unknown might have. And that kind of brings me to like my next point is the age dynamic in this band is really odd. Maya Wynn, which is the singer, she's easily 30 years younger than anybody else in this band. And although the age difference might have worked for a band like, say, Garbage, pretty sure back in the day Butch Vig and co. were only about 15 years older than singer Shirley Manson. How viable is this going to be from a marketing standpoint? And okay, let's say they don't care about it being marketable. Let's say they're just doing it for fun. And Maya has found this project where she now has a contact with like one of the legendary rock guitar players of our time, Alex Lifeson. Well, that could just be a springboard for her next thing. Or she could waste a lot of her years with this thing that Alex probably really isn't taking that seriously. So that's another thing that I worry about in these side bands, because usually, like I said, the celebrity in the project, they've already made their nut from doing whatever they did when they were younger, and then they hire a bunch of young guns. This happened to my band recently when we opened for Powerman 5000. The only remaining original member in that band is a lead singer, Spider, which is a cool guy. We had a great conversation and everything when I talked to him, but all those dudes in his band, all his backup band, all those guys were in their 20s. He just hired a whole new batch of fresh young faces, and it's just him and the three young guns, and that's Powerman 5000, and it's like, so I don't know. I guess I'm rambling at this point. But yeah, that's my take on Lifeson's new band. We'll see what develops from this. I'm calling that they'll do one more record and probably fade into obscurity like all these other celebrity side projects always do. But we shall see. Have you heard the band? If so, what do you think? What's your take on it? Like I said, not a bad band at all, but I can definitely see a lot of Rush fans not necessarily being into it, although one thing about Rush fans is we are very open-minded to new things, or else we wouldn't have stuck with Rush through all their genre changes. Anyway, until next time, guys, I hope you have a good rest of your night, and yeah, see you later, man. Like and subscribe and all that, and comment. Bye.